Phil really needs a haircut, and Josh needs to buy some good cologne. Welcome back to the Satan Guarded Podcast, episode 3.
What? Strays? What?
Catching strays, man. I am going to cut my hair soon, in a few months.
It was just the first thing I thought of when I looked at you, but it's actually not true.
Oh, thank you, because I was going to come at you for wearing shorts out to a nice dinner tonight.
I walked in, off of the record, and Phil complimented me, which is very rare.
Yeah.
What?
I was paying him respect. Brandon does look really nice right now for the people that don't know. But, again, he is wearing shorts while he's going out to dinner, which
I did notice
is a bit controversial.
It's hard not to notice when you have legs as glorious as these.
You don't train them. You just came off an ACL tear.
I'll let you know that I've hit them quite a few times this year already.
Couple burgers helps with
Hopefully
that
we'll
too.
see it soon.
Look, welcome back. We have some shout outs to get off to,
Some of our favorites.
to kick off with. I think this could start being a little thing, as we grow. We just continue shouting out the important people to the business, to the podcast. Look, three people specifically. We have shout outs for Zara, Jericho, and Luke.
Yes, sir. Shout out.
The gang.
Those three guys, they posted us on their Instagram, 2 of them, and Twitter, 1 of them.
Luke was on Twitter. The other 2 were on the gram.
Luke was on Twitter, and again, those
Unprompted. We didn't ask anyone to.
not asked. That's just out of their own love for the game and love for the sport, really.
We appreciate that.
That's why we play.
And something that caught us by surprise, and really noteworthy, is the 60th follower on the Instagram account was none other than Naaman.
Naaman, man. Shout out to you,
Naaman
Naaman.
sighting.
Naaman Ignacio. Yeah, we got
I
it.
haven't spoke to Naaman in a minute, but if you're listening, Naaman, I miss you, man. I hope you're well.
Naaman, you make the Chermside visits that much better, man. I love seeing you in Chermside working.
Flying
it's a
those
pleasure.
drones. You fly those drones, big
Oh,
man.
see you that.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's dope.
Every time I walk past, it's like a friendly face, greeting me to say hi, and it makes me go, I love that man.
That's cool. I miss that
I could
dude.
speak a sentence of Chinese 5 years ago.
Oh yeah, because we did learn Chinese back in St. Benedict's Primary. He was there with that.
Yeah, no, we did. I don't know how much of it I retained,
God, nothing.
but we'll find out. We go China this year. Will come in handy if we can hold a conversation. That'll make things a lot easier.
We're gonna tower the wall.
We really got to figure out when we're going to China though.
Yeah, we got to get on that.
'Cause-
That
Well,
could
that's
be.
still in 2023, so we've got some time. So
We've been talking about China for maybe a month and a half now. It started off with something else and it transitioned into China.
Man, China looks so... I know we've talked about it, but it looks so good. Like, I can't stop just looking at... I'll just Google holiday in China, things to do in China, touristy things in China, traditional things.
Bro, I never knew China was as dope as it is until really TikTok soft launched it.
Yeah, right.
I knew Beijing was dope. I knew Shanghai was dope, but I never paid it much attention. Like I knew they were dope sort of metropolitan cities
Some
with
of those cities
technology.
look crazy beautiful in the nighttime as well. It's all lit up and everything. So many people out about. It's like it's never asleep.
And it's sort of like the technology that they have built into just their everyday lives. There's like next level.
Just think about how good the food would be, man. I know you like that, Brandon. The food, bro.
What
We
else
would
do you
eat
think
like
I'm going-
kings there.
And all for like 30 Australian dollars for
Brandon
the whole day.
knows everywhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say if Singapore was any indication when we were there, it's
Bro.
cheap as to eat, bro.
Phil and I, when we were in Singapore, we went with
With
two
Josh
of
and a couple
our
others.
two of our other
It was
mates.
a great trip.
Phil and I, if we were bored, we would just go and eat.
Yeah. Well, man, those
You still do that.
I
Back in Brisbane.
I don't remember what they call it. It's not like a. Is it the subway or the train? You get off at like a station. They got
Train.
the hawker centers in there.
Yep.
And yeah, it was like where you get a crazy serving of like, I don't explore much when I eat, so it'd just be like sweet and spicy chicken. We get a massive serving with rice. It's like $6.
Oh, and the sugar cane water.
The
Bro, sugarcane juice.
Oh.
If anyone knows a good sugarcane juice spot in Brisbane, please let me know.
I
And
do,
that
bro.
Blue drink.
Sunnybank. 50
Sunnybank.
minutes away. Well, we drive often to get that sugarcane juice.
That one you got in Sydney slapped.
In Sydney.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, you took us
We
to
did
one
get
in
one in
Sydney,
Sydney.
like near Woolworths.
It
Oh,
We
was.
got like
yes.
3 in one day because it was that good.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
about that.
Oh, you went back.
I had
was
3.
asleep and you already had some.
That's
Oh, no,
something he
that was
would've done.
Brandon. So
I had-
I woke up
had
at like
3,
1
yeah.
o'clock.
I did have 3 in that one day. For those who've never been to the country of Singapore, city,
It's
country.
considered both, isn't it?
Oh,
Singapore's like definitely a country. I feel
yeah, I think
like.
it's a country.
Yeah, but it's like
If you've never been to the country of Singapore, the way it's laid out is you have the whole city is laid out based on a train system, basically.
yeah, there's like 7 or 8 major lines that intersect. I don't know if any other countries in Asia are like this, but anywhere you need to go, every station's got a train at every stop every 2 minutes. No matter where you need to go in the country, you're there in max 15 minutes.
And each
And
train
every
station.
time you get off at a station, it's like
Oh
a
my
full...
God.
It's like a
Yeah.
mall with all these designer shopping centers if you like to do that. If you like to eat, there's some crazy unique food spots. There's always like bakeries and stuff too.
That's what I was going to
Oscar
say.
liked his pandan cake.
Pandan cakes went
Man.
hard in Singapore.
Yeah.
But Phil's not exaggerating. Like, every train station, it's not like, your Manga Hill East or your Roma Street station here where it's you hop off and it's
Northgate.
literally a platform and the boom gates. Over there, every train station has like a shopping center attached to it with an entire maybe two food courts up and down level.
Oh, like the Valley.
Like the Valley, but on steroids. And man, cheap food just every station. And the stations are maybe like 2-3 minutes away from each other.
Yeah.
So you,
super quick trips.
if you're a foodie and you like to get fat, that's the place to go
Make
to.
sure you bring your Go card.
Man, we did Singapore right. Like, I would definitely go back, but I got no regrets from what we did there. Like, there's something for everyone. You like nature, they got the gardens. You like food, they got good food. You like the weather, they're like, around the equator, so they're
Man.
just hot and humid 24/7, so it's always good weather to do something. They got the theme parks. The zoo was crazy, man. I saw a panda for the first time ever. That took me back.
You said zoo in singular, but I think we need to make note of the zoo plural.
What was the other one we went
There
to?
were multiple zoos. We had the...
Did we go to more than one?
Yeah. We had the regular zoo,
Yeah.
and then we did the
And
night safari zoo.
Night Safari was at the same zoo, wasn't it?
And then we did the river one. They were in the same area, but there were 3 different zoos.
Oh, yeah. Like
Zoo
one
off.
complex, but
Yeah.
3 different experiences.
Band
Yeah,
for
I get you.
band.
Which I've never been to the 3 complexed zoo.
It was good. Like, I think if you do go, I think the main zoo is definitely the best one to do it. The night safari is cool, but obviously there's not much you can see when it's dark.
Yeah.
And I think the Riverside one was fun as well, but like the main zoo itself was like easily best zoo I've ever been to.
Thank God Peter wasn't on the trip with us because I accidentally flashbanged flashbanged a possum? Was it a possum in the nighttime zoo?
Oh, you did have your flash on by accident when you weren't meant to be doing that.
I was
Peter. Who's Peter?
the animal thing.
The
PETA.
PETA.
Peter.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was thinking of
Peter.
That was crazy of you.
Peter Levercombe.
No. So you heard the story, I think, but there was
I was there.
possum hanging from the tree, and I wanted to take a photo of
photo,
it. It's
yeah.
like middle of the night. I didn't know my flash was on, and the flash came on, and this possum's looking me dead in the
I think
eye.
it's like the first rule of zoos is no flash photography.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think you're lucky.
I think
you
they
didn't.
put that thing down.
Oscar got very, very, very angry with me.
He's passionate, man. He defends animals. I respect that.
He
Did you
did,
find the luggage you were looking for as well?
and then he threw away the cup that I bought him in the bin.
That was crazy. Brandon bought us. We all took turns
Yeah.
like shouting other like tables or snacks, or whatever.
Oh.
And Brandon got us all. What even was it?
Bro, they were $9 frozen Fantas. So the most
Yeah.
expensive ones.
Yeah,
they were
they
$9
crazy.
each.
They were worth
So
it.
Brandon spotted everyone one of them, and it came with a cool custom Singapore Zoo cup. I think you still got mine at your crib because I
Yes,
drank from that
yeah.
after New Year's.
Yep.
When we got home, and yeah, Oscar just chucked us in the bin without saying anything. And I remember we looked at each other. He'll laugh if he listens to this too, because we looked at each other and we're like, "We would have used that if you didn't want it." And he's like, "Oh, my bad," and just kept on moving.
That's
In
crazy.
his
He got
defense-
relegated for it though.
Oh, bro. And in his defense, he was upset that I flashbanged the possum.
Yeah.
They were family friends, weren't they?
What?
That was a long relative, like long distant relative, I think.
Oscar and the possum?
Yeah.
What?
It runs on the mum's side of the family, I think.
I'm not.
I'm not following. What,
I
I'm
don't
not
know, he
following.
looks like a possum.
He sounds like a possum.
Yeah, he's got that look to him.
Oh my god!
What?
Alright. Maybe look. I think he's just passionate about the animals.
Moving on. I think
Um,
that's a good
His
time.
nickname's Peter.
At least I didn't kill the poor thing. You know.
It probably
Yeah, well-
died as you left.
I think. Look, it seemed fine. I think you're lucky. I think you got away with one as long as you don't do it again.
No. I
Hopefully
learned my
you learn
lesson.
from
Yeah.
it.
I'll check the flash next
You're
time.
getting arrested the second you rock back up in that country for that incident.
I don't know if I'll step back and stay in that country for that reason. Then.
Better safe than sorry.
Look. We'll go on to some of the NBA stuff because it's been a decent NBA week. Nothing crazy, but some big stories. We do want to just pay our respects and I guess acknowledge the Warriors assistant. I'm gonna butcher his name, but I think it's Dejan Milojevic.
I think that'll do. That's.
Yeah. Does someone
I
know how
won't
to
be
actually
doing any
pronounce
better.
it?
No.
I'm not
It is
100% sure.
Serbian, I believe.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Dejin, he unfortunately passed away at a very young age of 46 years old. I didn't know much about the guy, obviously, until hearing this tragic news. So
He was like a behind the scenes kind of guy, like very influential for the players,
Yeah.
not so much to us in the media.
yeah,
Yeah, I looked into it a little bit when I heard the news, and I just kept on coming across the same thing. I'm very, very, very well respected by players, coaches, everyone involved, both the NBA over in Europe as well. Yeah, clearly had an impact on the people he worked with and the game as well. And yeah, 46 just way too young to go. It's tragic.
it says a lot about a person's character when the organization is, not forfeiting, but stopping games.
Yeah,
Right.
or postpone games so they can take care of that. And so that obviously comes first. Like it's just a game at the end of the day. That's obviously you got to take care of that.
That stuff doesn't happen too often though in the NBA. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the whole postponing games. The last one I remember was Kobe's death, and
Obviously,
I remember when there was a situation where the Bucks boycotted a few games because of the shooting or something.
Yeah, I think there were some things in the bubble with the Black Lives Matter movement. Before that, maybe like 2014 when the Donald Sterling stuff happened, I think the Clippers might have, or they considered but didn't end up doing it. So yeah, it's few and far between. But obviously, when stuff like that happens, you gotta put your priorities first.
It's look, the Warriors are having a hard year, and this was just another one of those like really tough challenges that come through your organization. But thoughts and prayers with his family.
For sure.
I'm sure he had a family. I'm sure father, brother, uncle, son. So prayers and thoughts to everyone who knew him. And yeah, we just hope that everyone recovers well and is able to, maybe turn their season around for him moving forward.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So more into, I guess, the fun side, numbers side of things. Pascal Siakam, 2 weeks after we had our conversation, Josh, myself, we call this, got traded to the Pacers. Raptors in return get 3 first-round picks, and Brucey B.
Who I think it's worth saying, Brucey B might get moved to
he's
another
not-
team. They're saying
not staying.
might be able to help other teams. I mean, he's not having the best season, especially compared to what he did in Denver, but he might still be able to help someone else out. And
Like
then I
the
think,
Knicks.
yeah, I've seen that for what
Mhm.
Evan and Grimes.
Yep, take them. See you later. Pack your bags.
Yeah, I don't think it hurts the Knicks at all to make that move.
For sure.
And then I think part 2 of that trade, Raptors flipped like a second-round pick to get Kira Lewis from the Pelicans. But no, you guys did call it. I wanted to see him go to Sacramento. I still would have preferred Sacramento. I think it was a better fit. I think Pascal said something about how he didn't want to extend his contract if he went to Sacramento, and I think the Raptors were asking for a little bit more than the Kings were willing to give up, so it just didn't work out, which happens. But for the Pacers, like I'm happy they did. I think they really solidified themselves as a playoff competent team in the East. It's not just a Cinderella season. It's not just a hot start to a first round finish. I think they really give themselves a chance. They obviously improve their front court defense, and they get a legit second all-star to back up Tyrese. Pascal's having a bit of a down year, but I think percentages will go up because he goes from playing in a system with no spacing to a fast system that encourages shooting and everyone spaces the floor. I think people are going to realize how good Pascal Siakam is.
Anybody playing with Halliburton as well this
man.
year is going to see an increase in numbers.
He's so good.
Like,
So good.
Halliburton's going to find him every possession. So
I'm a bit shocked at, and maybe this is me being naive, but Brucey B's coming off a championship year last year with the Nuggets. I don't think he'd be traded this frequently. I know it's only been 2 trades.
and contributed pretty well as well to the
Yeah.
Nuggets. So
Yeah, he's
definitely a big piece.
He's had a bit of a down year. I think it's it obviously demands a lot of money. That's an aspect of, again, 20-something mil a year.
22, yeah.
22, yeah. So if you want to make a trade like that, sometimes there's just pieces that you have to put in to make it work. And if you got to pick between Bruce Brown and Siakam, I know what I'm taking.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Raptors for getting it done when they made the first trade. And you asked me what they should do moving on. I said something about how they got to get first-round picks back for Siakam because obviously giving up OG, they didn't get as many as they thought they would. They got 3, which
Yeah.
I think one unprotected, one's a swap worst, and one's a top 4 protected down the track.
Yeah.
Some people are saying that's a fleece too, which is a lot of picks. But I think
Yeah, I
there's
think
positives in both directions here.
sometimes if it is an overpay, I think sometimes overpaying is worth it. Like Indiana's a small market. It's not often that they can get multiple all-stars together because obviously Tyrese is going to be one.
I can't think of a better Pacers team. Like, obviously, Reggie Miller's era, but...
Oh, but like in our generation? Oh, I mean, those...
Like that Paul Georgie, I guess, with... Like,
Well, those
LeBron
PG teams did make conference finals appearances, so I'm not ready to give the Pacers. I think on paper, yeah.
Legend Roy Hibbert.
Man...
Lance Stevenson Pacers
Who was
went
the coach?
crazy.
Was it Frank Vogel coaching them back then? He had
God.
Roy Hibbert looking like a...
They
he'd
probably
make
would
an
have won
all-star
as well
game.
if that Miami Heat team wasn't there. Like, I'm sure they would have been the best team on that side.
Yeah, they were good. Like I said, I think by default, teams these days are just more talented than they were a decade ago, so the Pacers now probably look better on paper, but they obviously have to do something to make it seem that way.
So what happens in a league where talent just continues getting better and better? And
you get Wemby and Chet, and like, the whole league's going to be full of them.
But
in
like at
15
some point,
years.
doesn't like the 3-point shot has become easier, right? It's a more frequently hit shot. What?
Well, it's lethal. You can't fight the numbers.
Yeah. So if it continues on this trajectory that talent becomes better and better and better, at some point doesn't the difficulty of the game become easier?
Why would that be, do you think?
Well, I mean,
I'm trying to see what you're thinking.
So you have guys who, for example, if the three balls become a thing right now where I want to say people from 1 through 5 can shoot a three.
You should be able to, yeah.
And that's different to, say, call it 15 years ago, that wasn't the case. So you get to the point where, say, a 1 through 5 can shoot a three consistently, and the difference between positions and who plays where becomes less and less. Do you then consider moving the 3-point line back or a 4-point line to make the game a little bit more challenging? Like, what happens there?
I think something like a 4-point line, I think it's almost like a reset for the league in the sense where like the 3-point line came out. It was a bit gimmicky. Some guys got really good and became a specialist at it. As the volume and the percentages increased, people started to look at the analytics and say, all right, well, you look at points per 100 possessions, stuff like that. Then you can't really fight the numbers. So I think if they had a 4-point line, it might take 10, 20, 30, 40 years. I think it's going to end up being the same thing because guys are going to be able to shoot them eventually. And then it's like a conversation of, do we add a 5-point line? So I think the game's beautiful how it is. I don't think they need to change it.
No, of course, yeah.
Main thing for me is expansion, which we know is coming within the next few years, but there's so much talent hidden on benches, hidden at the end of rotations that don't get opportunity, and then they go to teams where they do, and you see what they can really do. So I just hope there's more teams, so there's more opportunity for guys like that to really hoop. But I don't think you need to change a game to balance out the talent. I think term positionless gets thrown around a lot, but in essence, there's always going to be ball handlers, there's going to be bigs, there's going to be wings. It's going to become a bit more blended than it's ever been, but unless you're one of the best players in the league, I think there's always going to be something to classify you as. Yeah. The original 5 positions are more so just for novices to learn and understand the game.
I do love seeing a big man pull up a three. Like, part of the beauty of Brook Lopez's new game, because he wasn't that good.
No, bro. His development was insane.
Full 180.
I love seeing, a Brook Lopez, a Joel Embiid, a Nikola Jokic just pull it and consistently make it.
Not Jokic.
Jump shot, it's horrible, bro.
Yeah.
He played the best defense ever for 23 seconds, and he bloody throws it over his head.
That just goes to how good his offense is.
Yeah, that's the thing in this league. Good offense beats good defense every time, or more often than not, at least.
And it's becoming harder
Jokic is the epitome of that.
Play good defense. Like, I saw a clip, I want to say last week, where, who was it? Someone was defending perfectly. And there's nothing this person could do any better in terms of defending a drive. Shuffled his body in front, didn't try selling a charge, nothing, and they called a block on the defender.
Well, this is a really interesting conversation, right? Because a lot of people, I think I saw JJ talking about it on his show, but a lot of people,
JJ, man.
shout out JJ Redick, old man in the 3. But a lot of people talk about how the rules benefit the offensive player, but if you look at the history of rule changes, it doesn't really. Like, guys were getting really good again, defenders out of positions, throwing up a pump fake and, forcing a foul to get some free throws. And they changed the rules to make that an offensive foul or a no call. Guards were getting down the lane off a pick. They were sort of snaking the pick and they were jumping backwards like Trae Young and dudes like that. They changed the rules to make that. So it's like, every time players have found a way to exploit rules, Harden with his Euro step, hook in the arm, they've changed it to make it easier to defend. And offensive players just keep on getting better. That's how crazy the talent and the development of the league is. You almost can't do anything about it. Like, offensive schemes are purely analytic based in terms of pace, shot selection, shot distribution. So that's why these games are so high scoring. It's never going to go back to being 90 to 80 in a regular NBA game.
Back in the plumber days.
Which is insane because when I started watching basketball, I remember that 90-80 was yeah, that's crazy. Jordan Round was going to believe you too because you said that.
You got the casual speaking.
No, but like when I first started, which is 2015, sort of, it's not long, but you know, it would 110 was like a whoa. I thought that's a pretty high scoring game.
Well, that was probably the start of this whole thing with I think Steph and the Warriors definitely led that movement.
That first Curry MVP was really the start of it.
Yep. Because before that, like obviously there was the dead ball era in the early 2000s with the Shaq and Kobe Lakers. For me, the era I remember watching the most as a kid was that 2010s, either late Cleveland Bron going to Miami or Kobe winning on the Lakers by himself, and that was still like, you had high scoring games, you had guys putting up numbers, but you get to the NBA Finals. I remember that Game 7 with LA and Boston was like 75 to 68 or something.
Crazy.
I think it was one of the series on Heat, LeBron versus the Celtics, like just long periods without a bucket scored. Kevin Garnett, LeBron.
Some of the Heat Spurs Finals had moments like that.
Well, the Warriors Cavs are, you know, the 3-1. Their Game 7 was a 89 to 91, wasn't it?
93, I think.
Yeah, which for those two teams that are quite offensively, you know, like they're weaponized. They have a lot of offensive weapons. Quite a low scoring game.
That's Game 7s too, though. Like we obviously haven't had a Game 7 in the finals in a while. I think if we did, you could probably bet your money on it being lower scoring than it normally be, but obviously still not to that.
And that Game 7, nobody hit a shot. I think everyone shot absolutely horribly. I think Draymond led.
Draymond had like 7 threes, bro.
30-point triple-double almost or something like that.
Back when he was
like
likable.
8 threes.
Best game of his career.
Back when he was a good image and likeness character.
I'm down to
run is over.
I'm down to unpack that a little bit. You don't have to get into it too much, but what was the NBA like just getting into in 2015? Because like for me, I watched it like from a kid, but like 2015 was like, that was by the time I was already like deep into it. You know what I mean?
Like I knew of the NBA. I used to play 2K12.
Yeah.
So I knew of the NBA.
Great soundtrack, horrible game.
The Jay-Z
Amazing.
One?
No, that was 13. 2K12 was the one with Fast Lane.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah.
I remember, side note, Pau Gasol on the 2K12 Lakers was absolutely out of this
Cheat
world,
code.
dog. But no, look, I knew of the NBA. Obviously, I watched bits and bobs here and there, but I wasn't invested into it. Until 2015, I didn't really have an idea of any team outside of the Lakers, the Heat. You know, like that's about, you know, just all your big market ones, your Raptors, you know, because Drake had affiliation. But
what did you know though? Because obviously, like media kind of controls or dictates so much of what you know about sports. Like, were there any players that you thought were way better than they are, or not as good as they are? Like, I know for me, I think first memories for me was like very first was like D Wade's first championship with Shaq. So I was probably like 5-6 years old or something, but because of like the 2K games and just like highlights, I remember thinking Jason Williams was like one of the best players in the league when I was too young to know any better, just because of the highlights, right? Well, just because of the highlights, right? And then you get into it a little bit more, it's like he could obviously hoop, but it's like you look at his percentages and stuff, and it's just like he wasn't that guy. You know what I mean?
I think I was fortunate to come in when, like, you know, the Warriors were at their prime. LeBron was still doing what LeBron does. So, like, yeah, for me, I think my experience with coming into it was the fact that these guys are freaking good. Like, better than I thought. Like, I think different to you, and it might be the age difference from when you started watching versus when I knew what I'm watching is highlights, so it's just the best of whatever people do. Right. So I came into it with a mentality that it's going to be a little worse. I was surprised by how consistently good the guys I was watching are.
Yeah, no, that's fair. What about you? What year did you properly get into it, Josh? Because I remember since what we met in high school, you kind of just always knew a little bit about it.
Yeah, I would say the year before high school, I really started watching it. I think that's like in Australia, they made it more accessible to watch that year, which I think was 2013-14.
Okay.
But I was the same. I had one of the early 2Ks, and just in my family, I always knew what basketball was, and it was pretty big at the time because the Spurs had the two Aussies. So
yeah,
it was like just
and they
trending
won.
around. That was kind of that point when I realized kind of what the NBA was in a bigger scale. But yeah, 2013 I think it was, because it was like just like LeBron peak, like Miami LeBron, MVP LeBron.
Should have been the first unanimous.
Yeah, and I remember like you said that question about who was, you know, obviously good, but you thought were much better. That was Mario Chalmers.
That's such a funny name.
Like, I couldn't believe he was like a role player on the Miami Heat once I started watching the year after. It was insane.
That's funny. I had a few
What a
plays like that.
journeyman.
On the Mario Chalmers highlights.
He was like throwing crazy passes to LeBron though. It was insane.
Man, Rio was... It was good for what he did. You know, ups
like
and downs.
old Sean Marion too. Like,
Yeah.
he was good. Like, better than most.
What was
as
his
well.
nickname? Matrix.
But like, I couldn't believe he wasn't like the Michael Jordan of the current day. Because like, I think, was he on the Suns back then? Was it
Yeah. Oh, no. When you were watching, it would have been...
around that time?
Well, he was on the Mavericks when they won in
Yeah.
11. So,
Must have been like that kind of transition period. Then he would have been in the news for that. And Stoudemire too, same
Yep.
thing.
well, on the Knicks or before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the old Knicks teams are.
Bro, that was when I, like...
J.R. Smith probably for that question too.
JR,
Because you'd
yeah.
see those like insane garden plays and the windmill dunks.
For sure.
Um,
Bro, Rondo was, like, my favorite player of all time.
Rajon.
Like, I still love Rondo. He's one of my favorite point guards ever, and he was obviously, you know, really good, Hall of Famer probably. But I would just like, that was before people were getting triple doubles every other night, and I'd see Rondo have like a 18, 11, and 12, and I thought that was like the
he
craziest
had
thing
that
ever.
crazy one in the finals. What game was that against LeBron? He like had 42.
That was game one. I think they met in either the second or third round. It was like game one that went to OT. He had like a
And they
44-point
lost,
triple
but he
double, and they
still
lost.
went off, and like, for that time was insane.
Bro, I remember there was a game where he had a triple double against the Knicks. I think it was a regular season, and Melo dropped 50.
Whoa.
And the Celtics won, and I was like, I'm like 10 years old, and I'm walking around, I'm like, see, like, scoring isn't everything. Like, because I wasn't a scorer, so I'm like, yeah, point guards, like, you got to get your teammates involved. I thought that was the coolest stuff ever.
I want to touch on very quickly, just two things. The first one being the Celtics are 20-0 at home, which
They could be the first ever 41-0.
we
They'll
really.
lose to, like, no, they'll lose to the Grizzlies or something.
Well, we have the
no one's ever been 41-0 at home. There was, I think the Spurs did 40-1. The Warriors might have done 41 or 39-2 the year they won 73. There's been a few teams that have got close, but they might be the first to do it.
We have Denver Nuggets coming up tomorrow, so that's a big challenge
Yeah.
at home.
No, you'll be
But
fine.
I just wanted to put that in there. We'll track that one, and obviously, lastly, very big, Darvin Ham. Listen to the podcast.
Shout out to Darvin Ham for listening to the show. I take back all my hate and disrespect. I appreciate you listening to what I say I would do with the team. You've clearly put that into action because that's what I said, and the Lakers are winning.
What material are your pockets made from?
They got to be like the
They
highest quality
must be
silk in the
so
world, bro.
comfy, bro. He doesn't pull them out.
Oh, I was like, "Where's this going?"
Must be
Shout out
hand
to
warmers
pockets, man.
too.
Yeah. So that we're one step closer to getting Phil Handy on the podcast, and maybe even
Ew.
Darvin Ham one day.
Maybe LeBron.
Do it, Phil.
Look, last Friday, a bit of a cool memory now for me for the rest of my life. But last Friday,
Let's go give some context before we get into
we
it.
almost died.
Okay,
Long story
straight into
long.
it.
That's a really good title. We almost died, episode 3.
You won't believe what happened. We almost died.
Guess where we're filming this from? Heaven.
We were going somewhere last Friday. And we went to pick up a mate on the way, and we were driving to their house, and we were going into the Zoomier suburb, and I've never been to
Yeah.
the residential side of Zoomier.
For those who like
Ever.
are outside of Brisbane, that's like
What are you about to say?
it's like the Bronx. Like it's the O Block. It's
Oh, block is crazy.
you gotta like lock your doors, and like residents that live there will say that too. Like
Yeah.
you gotta be careful. You actually can't go to the train station past like sunset. Like you will lose your wallet and your purse.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
some
well.
blood.
Well, we were driving to pick up someone, and we get stopped at a traffic light, regular. And as we're pulling up to the traffic light, there's this dude who was completely out of his senses, right?
Call of Duty zombie.
And we
Bro,
thought
he was moving like a Black Ops zombie dog.
so. At first, we were like, "Oh, like he's definitely on drugs," but then we weren't sure if he just had like a bit of an ailment or something wrong with his legs. Like he was not standing still.
And he also kind of looked like he was just having a chat with the guy in front of us. There was
Yeah.
no crazy signs yet here, except he had no shoes on.
He had no shoes on. He was wobbling, and we were like, "Oh, maybe he just knows the guy in front of us, the traffic light." He just whatever. So we pull up, and we're getting up to the traffic light, and this guy, bro, he points at us in the car, and then just starts sprinting towards our car.
The round started. We
He
couldn't
started-
afford the walls.
Bro, he started like full-fledged sprinting and shouting something at us while pointing to my car, and I'm in the driver's seat.
It was literally like when you got one zombie left on a round and they start sprinting because the round's trying to end. Like sprinting, head down, arms dangling by his side.
And he wasn't a scrawny dude. He was a well-built, like someone you don't want to...
He was a bit tubby, for sure.
Yeah, but someone you don't want to be in a physical altercation with.
No.
He sprints towards the car. Honestly, thank God no one was coming on the other side of the road. I was able to like put the car in reverse.
Shout out to Brandon's need for speed skills. Puts his foot on the gas, pedal to the metal, whips the car around like a full 180 degrees, nearly spun off the road, speed off down the street, and we're just looking at this dude in our rear view.
Still managed to wave to a car behind him for letting him in. He still had his etiquette. It was beautiful.
Had it all under control from start to finish.
Even though we were on the verge of death, you can't not say thank you to the guy who let you in.
No, manners is everything.
But man, like genuinely heart raced, like, it's very privileged for us to say that something like that can get us, we're making a joke about we almost died, but something like that gets our heart racing. It just goes to show, obviously we've not had too rough of an upbringing.
Yeah, we definitely don't have any experience like that. I was going to say, have you guys ever been in a situation like that before?
Do you know what it reminded me of though? Very similar situation. When you're in the shopping center and there are like those HelloFresh employees or like the lifeguard guys trying to upsell you and they like call you out and pull you over. Gets my heart racing. I hate it.
That's the social anxiety side of it. There.
I have my headphones on, my lanyard on for work, and they're still calling out, "Bro, leave me alone."
To your question, I've had a couple of run-ins like that, but the scariest one was when I was in Hawaii with the family. We were walking, and Hawaii is a relatively safe place, but being America, being home, there's a big homeless problem there as well. And it's a touristy area, so locals know who the tourists are, obviously. Aaron and I were walking back from getting food or something one night, and our parents had already gone somewhere. We were separated. And we came out of a shop, we were walking towards our hotel. And the walk to and from the shop and the hotel was relatively, it was a decent walk. And we walk out and we notice that these two guys following us. And we're like, oh, it's weird, they've been behind us for a little bit odd, but whatever. We continue walking straight, and they're visibly looking at us, and they're kind of getting closer to us. We're like, oh shit, this is a bit of an issue. So we go into another shop from memory, and we're like, oh, let's just stall here. They could just be, just following the same path as us, unironically. Stayed there for a bit, came back out. Those guys, as we started walking, started following us again from the back, and we were like, oh. They definitely saw us go into that shop. They knew they were waiting for us.
Love with you.
Two younger boys walking by themselves. Who knows what they wanted, what they had on their mind. Anyway, I think at that point we started sprinting. We just sprinted back into the hotel, we sprinted around, I think, to get to the hotel just so we can lose them because they were picking up speed on us. And we made it back safely to tell the story. But that was
that's a rule of thumb. If you ever think you're being followed, they'd say just take 4 right turns if they're still behind you being followed because you've done a full circle.
Yeah.
So that's an important thing to remember. I haven't had too many run-ins like that. I remember like a few months ago, I think I've told you guys this story, but I was driving home from somewhere, like from the gym with a friend, and I stopped at a red light. It was like maybe a couple kilometers away from my crib. And I genuinely believe I'm a good driver, but these guys know that sometimes I stop a little too close to cars.
Like car sensors at the front of the car was made because of Phil Dog.
So yeah, obviously you're meant to see a little bit of the road when you stop. I kind of like the first thing I can see is like the bottom of their wheels if that makes sense. Like, there's no road. It's bad. But I stopped behind this one dude, and I didn't think I did anything wrong. Like I stopped close, but I didn't touch him. I didn't say anything. I didn't even look at him. And he stopped his car and he came out and he came up to the car and started yelling at us.
Oh my God.
And I don't know what about because I didn't look at him. Like when that happens, you just look straight forward because I think if you make eye contact, that really sets him off.
Gonna break your window in or something.
Yeah, but I guess this is where I learned my lesson because I was stopped so close. I wouldn't have been able to go around and do anything like Brandon did. I would have had to reverse, but there were cars behind me. So I was just sandwiched in while this dude's yelling at me. And I still to this day don't know why. Like maybe he just thought I stopped too close, but again, I didn't damage his car. I didn't do nothing.
He probably thought that you could obviously in the rear view mirror you can see. He probably thought this guy's right up my ass.
Yeah, but isn't the thing with mirrors like objects are closer than they appear?
Yeah, some people also have less brain cells than they should.
Maybe he was blind.
Well,
I don't think it would have been operating a vehicle then.
he knew exactly where Phil was sitting if he was blind.
That
he
is
knew
true.
exactly where Phil was sitting.
Maybe he thought I was just someone else. I don't know.
Death stories, not death, but stuff like that happens more often than we think. Like, I know it's happened to me. We've had other stuff, but I just can't, off the top of my head, think about it. Like, just weird people coming up to you in the shopping center. There was
I
this
mean, I
one...
feel like that's very different to near death.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, there's no guarantee that the Zoomer guy was going to kill us, but, you know.
I wouldn't have let that happen.
You would have intervened.
I had my brass knuckles.
I wanted to, I forgot to say, but I should have said this at the beginning, but we're getting close to the 100 followers on the Instagram, just a side note.
Yes, sir.
So the 100th follower to the Instagram, or when we get to 100 followers, we're going to do probably a spin the wheel sort of, or a random
giveaway, if you will.
Yeah, a randomizer giveaway. The person's name that we pull out of one of those 100 followers will get a free T-shirt of our own merch that is coming very soon.
For sure. We will have stuff coming soon. We'll have video coming soon that we keep talking about every episode. Just get some things sorted for the set and everything with that, and then get a little bit of merchandise going. And then, yeah, I guess once we start video properly, then it's kind of go time. I think everything now sort of been a warm-up and getting comfortable with it for that.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a lot of fun. So I think just the quality of the content and the value of it should be a lot better once we're on that too.
Yeah, and stay tuned. Like, the giveaways, there's not going to be the first and the last one.
Well, we'll be the first. It won't be the last.
Won't be the last.
Yeah.
Not going to be the first and the last. So they're only going to get better from here. We'll start off, with something personal to us. The shirts that we are making, we're taking a lot of time to, make sure that they're exactly what we want them to be. So it'll be a nice little gift for whoever the winner is there.
And there'll be nice material too.
Yeah, like super high quality. We're not doing any of that rubbish, like just cheap T-shirt stuff.
I thought about you name some brands. I was like, don't do that.
No, I would never. But we're not doing that cheap quality stuff. It's the stuff that we're doing. We've had a philosophy even before starting this, and it's, if we're going to do something, we'll do it right.
Yeah, so it's also not just our faces and stuff on T-shirts. It's like a T-shirt you should be able to wear
every
if
day.
you're not trying to show off a podcast. But if someone was to read it, they know where to come.
And
So
because of that, don't you dare ever take it off, whoever the winner is.
if you need 7 to get through the week, then we'll get you 7.
I want to give props to us for a second, not because of what we've done and what we're
Glazing
doing.
himself.
Whoa! I've noticed, and I coming into the new year, I wanted to be more self-reflective throughout the year, and not only when, the end of the year is there. Us three, obviously you guys know we're good friends, but we've been hanging out with a range of different people since the beginning of the new year, which may sound like normal, but to us as a group, it's not really happened, until recent.
I think last week.
Yeah. Well, I guess kicking off from New Year's Eve, I wouldn't say it's anything that I actively tried to do. It's more so just being cool with where I'm at and trying to do things, realizing that how young I am and there's nothing to lose. I think that we might have spoke about this on before, but when you realize that for us, we're 22 and we're obviously quite privileged, that once you realize you can't really do what you want, obviously with some limitations, not hurting anyone or anything, it's almost like a superpower, because you can just
100%.
That's when you make good memories. Like, there's nothing holding you back in that way.
Do you guys? Sorry.
No, you go. I was just gonna say, I just really value like the memory side of it. Like,
Yep.
I'm not trying to be all, I can't stay out late because I got to do something tomorrow morning. Like, no, I'll be out till 3. I'll get up at 7. It's like, I'm never gonna do that again once I'm 30 and have kids and have all that stuff. So it's just living in the moment.
And that's been a big thing I've seen with you recently. Like, not to say you used to not do stuff, but if you had work or something, you'd be a little bit more conscious about going home at a certain time and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's the balance of it too. I had a good conversation with Joe recently. Shout out to Joe. We'll probably have him on here one day if he's keen. But he's obviously really successful at what he does, and in a way I really I look up to him, and the advice that he gives is really valuable. And he was quite big on, like, don't burn out. Like, we've obviously all got a lot going on behind the scenes, good things for the most part, but just like he was saying, like, don't make that your life. Like, have time for the things you enjoy, still hoop, have time with friends. I've met some incredible people this year and spent good time with them, so it's all super, super valuable. And without that, I think I probably would crash and burn with just the general workload of everything else. And vice versa. I think if I did too much of that, then I won't get anything done because you definitely can't indulge in that too much.
Yeah, and on the topic of Joe, again, shout out to Joe.
Big
One
love.
of my highlights from this week, I want to say is this week. He, we talk here and there over Instagram and stuff, but he randomly sent me a Bible verse and from the Book of Psalms, and it was just we weren't even talking. He just sent it, and it was just such a beautiful thing. That he's not the first time he's done it. He's sent not only Bible stuff, but just messages to say you're an awesome guy, and I'm thinking about you. And he does these little things that like I get so grateful for him.
He is one of those people that you don't take advantage of it, but you ever need anything, you need advice, you need something, anything. He's one of those people that will make that happen for you.
Yeah.
I got a lot of love for him. I appreciate him a lot. Every conversation I have with him, I come out of it just feeling really grateful for what I heard from him. I feel like I learn something every time I talk to him. And he's got time for everyone. I don't know how he does it. He's a busy man. He's got kids. He runs businesses. He's somehow got time for everyone.
He's so
and
good
that's
at what he does.
yeah.
Shout
And
out to him, man.
you can't teach that.
And the way I look at
There's
it,
just special people you come across, and he's one of them for
I'm
sure.
like, he has so many people in his life, and I see myself as a small character in his life. Like I see him once a week, so that sort of thing. But he's still taking the time to think of me and send me a message without there being any sort of need to. Like that means the world.
One thing I appreciate about him the most is how much confidence he puts into me and like genuinely believes in us and makes it known. Like I was having a coffee with him the other day, and I don't remember how we got on the topic, but he just keeps on saying, he's like, I've only known you guys 12 months. I know what your potential is. Like, I know what you can do. And he holds me accountable in that way. He doesn't have to do that. I could just be some 22-year-old that he plays basketball with once a week.
Yeah.
But he's like, he wants to see the people around him succeed as well.
Well, yeah, that ties into the, I guess, strengthening the friendships of those you may not necessarily hang out with often. But I want to chuck it to you guys. How do you feel once you say you're having a night out and you're with a good group of people that you go, I really enjoy this. It's not my regular group, but I'm really enjoying this. When those nights come to an end, do you feel like rejuvenated? Do you feel like, is it a contagious thing for you guys?
You want to go first, Josh?
Yeah, I don't have like a crazy answer. It's just more like it's more comforting because that's like it just feels good because it's not the group you hang out with 24/7, so you just kind of have a bit more appreciation for them.
Yeah.
But it's just again refreshing. It's just keeping up to date with new things and just keeping things moving. Like you don't want to do the same thing with the same people every day.
Correct.
So I think that's been this year as well. Really, like with my work-life balance, looking forward to these weekend days and what we get up to and seeing a group of people I haven't seen for the last couple of weeks. It's just gives something to look forward to and some new ways to look about things when I talk to them and get everyone's opinion on just what we're going through at the moment. Life, like Joe obviously is very wise, so I love when I get a chat to him. Bit less regularly than you guys, but same kind of deal. He provides so much in like the 45 minutes I get to talk to him outside of basketball, and that goes for everybody. I think everybody's got something important to share, so no matter who you are, I learn a lot from you guys, so shout out to everybody.
Definitely. I think I like how you ended that because that's what I value about things like that. We sort of spoke about in the group chat the other day, but life experience is a big thing with discovering yourself, learning about yourself, improving yourself. And for the most part, I enjoyed my time and I enjoyed my comfort zone and my alone time, and my comfort zone, and I still do, but I recognize that I was indulging in it a little bit too much, and that's where the growth kind of stops because you're seeing the same people, the same places, the same sites, the same everything every day. So change of scenery kind of does rejuvenate you. I think that's the word you used. Mm-hmm. And you tend to pick up something new or learn something when it's people outside of your normal circle. Like I'll never get sick of the time that we have for each other.
Couldn't be me, bro.
In a way, not a negative way. not in a negative way, but it is predictable. We've known each other for 10 years.
Yeah.
We can bet money on the fact that 99% of the things Josh and I will agree on, 99% of things Brandon and I will disagree on. So it's like, even just important conversations, having it with people where you don't know what's about to come, I think that tests you a little bit, and you can, it's easier to learn other perspectives when you don't know what's coming. Whereas like, because I know what I know, I'm going to be like, oh, Brandon disagrees. So it's, I should do a better job at learning from that, but I don't always. So I think it holds you accountable in that way.
Yeah, like you mentioned like the comfort thing. Like
It's
again,
hard, man. It's hard
I
if you're
love the time
introverted.
I have with you, my family, my partner, and all that. But just changing it up is always great. Especially this year, I've learned that.
There's a like not a challenge, but something that I wanted to do moving forward this year, and I wanted you guys to do it, and you guys have done it. It just internally, I didn't voice it, but prioritizing hanging out with people that you don't usually hang out with, or people who you have known, like friends from you may have been close to them 2-3 years ago, and you've as friendships do, they naturally fall off. But if there wasn't a bad reason to fall off, taking that initiative and reaching out to them instead of waiting for them to reach out to you, like to me, I think that's really important. Not only from a perspective of, I don't think you can wait for things to come to you all the time. You have to chase them. But I'm a big believer in what you put out is what you get back in. And Phil, you say that very often for a bunch of different things. It's what you give is what you get.
I do believe it. It's easy for us to say. We've said it a few times in this podcast. We don't deny the fact that we are privileged. We come from good families, good support system.
Yeah.
We have stuff to fall back on. It's obviously a lot easier when you have that safety net, and we don't take that for granted at all. But at the same time, you still have to put yourself first and be a go-getter in a lot of things in that way. I know you were sort of talking about it in the context of friendship, but just life in general. Like you said, you get out what you put in, whether that's effort, commitment, anything. You have to put that first if it's really something you're passionate about or something you want. And if you don't naturally do it, then it's probably not something that you want. That's fine. You just got to recognize it.
There's nothing wrong with that. That was leading into my question is, do you think something like that where, if you are someone who enjoys friendships and people hanging out with people, do you think it's important to prioritize reaching out to people you may have just fallen out of a friendship, out of communication with?
Well, I think you got to make it happen. Like, it's still up to you. Like, especially if it's someone you haven't spoken to for a while. Like, you're comfortable as it is, but if you want to improve, obviously it's up to you to make the effort and reach out. Otherwise, nothing's going to come from it.
In our day and age, I find it's like a bit of not an enigma, but the whole hey, we got to hey, we got to
Like
catch
an
up
empty
soon.
promise, you mean?
Yeah, it's like yeah, bro, like 100%, like let's do something, and it just ends there, and then
sure.
you'll chat in like 4 months, and they'll say the same
Because
thing.
you'll send that message, and I feel like socializing, and then like it rocks around. I'm like, really don't want to do anything today, so. You know what? I do it as it comes, but again, you got to hold yourself accountable.
Yeah, I definitely need to get better at. Like, I appreciate that you said I've gotten better at it, Brandon, but I know I still have a ways to go because it's obviously between the multiple jobs and the stuff going behind the scenes and making this a hobby, and then having your main circle and your family and stuff like that. I do struggle sometimes because it's just like that, all combined with having attention span problems and all that stuff, and I'm just feel like my mind's always in a million pieces. Like, I'll go, I might forget to open a text from you guys like for a week. I see you every day, but I forget to reply to me. Like, I think I opened a message from Josh today that was like a week old.
I'm so bad with DMs. So
Same,
I
to be
apologize
fair.
to anyone.
And that's what I mean, like I'm bad with it with my inner circle, so that's why it's harder to just reach out and because it's like it's not something that I prioritize much.
Well.
My mentality is like, if I don't open a DM from you guys, or if you guys don't open a DM from me, I'm not looking into it because I know it's like
it's not a negative thing. I think
sure.
like when people do feel that way about stuff, like I don't think there's any harm in stuff like that. Like,
it's crazy when people get like bothered by like your social media presence and ability to reply to a text message. Like I guess like
it's weird behavior.
Phone
for
numbers
sure.
and people close to you is a bit different. But like, sorry, I'm not checking my 14th Facebook Messenger group. Like, I can't get to everybody.
Well, yeah, like for me, it's just like I see it and I'm like, yeah, I'll get to that in a second. I'll just forget about it.
Yeah.
And that's why I say
normal.
like I'm not good at reaching out to old friends, but what I appreciate about when you do that is the balance of it. I think reaching out to an old friend and then sort of having them there like 24/7, I would find that really hard to balance with everything just because I'm sort of used to what I got right now and I'm trying new things. But I do appreciate, I got a good friend. His name is Mitch. I used to work with him. We have a lot in common. He's a few years older, but very much like me. Like, we always laugh about how like I tell him what's happening in my life and he went through similar thing at that age. So it's kind of like getting advice from a future me sometimes when we talk about that. And we might only see each other once every 6 to 12 months, but that's what makes it really quality. So I think even that, as amazing as it is, if we saw each other like weekly, it's as good as it would be. It wouldn't be the same because you have so much substance when you see each other.
I tend to not prioritize, but the people who I know I don't see often, I tend to be more aware of their text messages and or notifications on my phone, because I don't want to, like, if I'm not seeing them often, I don't want them to think that I don't care about their time. So that goes back to what I was saying, is like, yeah, if you guys, if I message you guys and we don't open it, it's, so sometimes I don't prioritize that as much as someone who I may not have spoken to in 3 months who's also texted me at the same time. I'll open probably theirs first, and then I'll think to open you guys. But yeah, I just think that's it's a cool thing if you have the ability to do, and in the corporate world they'll say if you have the capacity and bandwidth to.
We'll touch base about it after the pod.
If you have the ability to circle back to friendships that you may have just naturally fallen off, it's a good thing to pick up and redo.
Definitely. No, you raise a lot of good points. It's definitely important to prioritize it, but the balance of it's what I sort of look for the most.
It's hard, man. I think we also living in an age where the push to make something happen for yourself is huge, and we live in a grind set mentality. And I said,
Yes, sir.
there's this guy on TikTok who I see, and I don't know what his username is, but his whole page is about normalizing the normal. And
yes, I've seen that.
have you seen him?
I respect that.
It's really wholesome.
Yeah, I don't like looking down on stuff like that or disrespecting it, because everyone's on their own path, and it's about your needs and wants. What are you doing to satisfy both of those, your goals, your morals and ethics? There's so much that goes into how you sort of make your walk of life. I don't believe that everyone needs to be this alpha male, grind 24/7, make it for themselves, never work for anyone else, like ditch the 9 to 5. I like, there's no wrong way about it at all. I think what's wrong is when people try and shame the other side of it. I think there's a place for everyone to do what they aspire to.
The 9, like his videos are just, and it's very, I guess, very symbolic of my life, which is why I think it's wholesome. Like, I don't live a boring life, and that's not boring, but he just works a 9 to 5, which is kind of what I do, and he just films himself, like going to work, coming back, going to the gym, hanging out with a few friends, and sleeping and waking up the next day for work. And it's just like, I think that's a breath of fresh air in a social sphere.
Well, it keeps it real, right? Like,
yeah, in a metasphere where it's all about buy my course on how to become an entrepreneur, and make sure that you're 3, 4, 5, 6 steps ahead of the game, and drop shipping's
social media. It's done a lot of negative things to people, especially of our age.
Yeah, there's a lot of trying to convince people on something other than what's your reality, and I never understood that. Like, obviously I'm not in anyone else's shoes, so I can't, but for me, I try and just be grateful and be where my feet are, and if I'm not, then something needs to change, right? But that's easy, because I'm easily intrinsically motivated. I understand not everyone is, so there's a lot that comes into it. But yeah, I like that you brought that dude up, because I haven't seen him in a minute, but I do think that's cool to just normalize not wanting to conquer the world. And
like, I think we had a conversation about it not the other day, a while ago, but if everyone was this entrepreneur,
it wouldn't work.
The world wouldn't function.
Would not go around, not at all.
And
there's
I think
a place for everyone.
COVID really brought it to my attention how essential these essential jobs are.
Yeah.
Like, you look around, and when the government put on all those restrictions and said the only people who can work are the essential workers, like, we were so thankful for those guys. And not to say that I wasn't thankful for them before, but in that climate, I'd never seen them as like whoa, like I take it for granted how much we rely on them.
Yep. No, I think it's stuff like that really opens your eyes to things. You don't know any better beforehand.
No, man. Like, shout out to all the retail workers, all the the people in the hospitals, the nurses, the doctors, who just don't get a thank you.
Yep.
Like, you guys seriously make our lives just go around, and it's something that we take for granted.
It's perspective too. Like, I think one of the things that I learned, and it's not a mentality that would work for everyone. Like, it's not constantly comparison, and you don't there's no reason you shouldn't feel some type of way because of anyone else's situation. But what works for me, and being in like the sphere that my sister works in, stuff that she's taught me, it's like I might be tired after I work 9 hours at one job and then I would go to my other one and do like 6 hours there and have a big day. But there's someone that just did a 15-hour brain surgery,
Man.
and that's a lot harder than what I just did. So for me, perspective is everything.
100%, Phil.
And I think that was we had a conversation about it a long time ago, like months ago, when I sort of started having that realization, like obviously my situation then versus now, and I was like, I would be so excited just about stuff like taking myself out to dinner.
Yeah.
And I was just like so grateful how good that felt because of the situation that I'm in. I practice gratitude often because I think that like can really change your life. And then perspective, gratitude, perspective. Like to me, those are the key things with really having a healthy mindset.
I was talking to someone midweek about just the rat race in general,
Yep.
and how people going to you're going to the city for work, just your regular hop on a train, go to work, come back, on a train sort of thing. How a lot of people who hop on those trains, just if you observe, and even when I was going into the city on the train, like I observed it, people are quite monotonous. It's like it becomes a routine. You're almost an autopilot. Your existence for those guys, or at least it looks like they're just going through the motions. But we were talking about how people can find that monotonous, and to your point about perspective is exactly what I was saying, which is there is like a mother who's on her knees praying for a job like that.
Yep.
And like she would do anything to have a full-time job in the city where she's going on the train there and back every day. And it's like, it doesn't mean that your situation is bad. It's just, you may become comfortable with whatever your situation is.
Yeah, you can still want more or want different while still being appreciative. I saw one post today that someone I follow shared, and it was like, your job is someone's dream job. Your house is someone's dream home.
Yeah, man.
Your financial status is someone else's dream financial status.
Yep.
And yeah, realizing that, I think I've used the term eye-opening a few times, so that's the best way I can describe it, because you just look at things differently after that.
J. Cole, one of my favorite songs from J. Cole, I just whipped it up to try and find the lyric, is Love Yours.
Yes.
And he has a bar in there. I'm going to butcher it. I'm not going to be able to say it word for word. I can't find where it is. But it's something about, there's always going to be a bigger house out there. As long as the people in there love you dearly, there's always going to be a whip that's better than the one you got. Always going to be a watch better than the one you rock. But it's about what gratitude you have about what you have.
That's a great song.
Such a good song, man. Like Love Yours. Obviously, Wet Dreams for storytelling is an amazing song.
Yep.
Crooked Smile.
Yes.
Crooked Smile, bro.
Banger.
He's got hits from every album. Rise and Shine. And then there's songs that aren't even on streaming services, like Blow Up and stuff like that. Man, I might need to do like a full J. Cole like discography re-listen. That might be my next little music thing before we talk about it again.
Off-Season's so underrated.
Yes.
So
You love that.
Yeah,
you love
my
Off-Season.
most replayable J. Cole album in my opinion. Short and sweet.
It's good. I like it a
No
lot.
skips.
Yep. I got no skips on any Cole album.
It's hard. Cole doesn't make bad music.
No.
So you have guys in the industry who make
It's like Kendrick.
bad and good music, and then you have guys who just make good music. Some are hits, and the other ones are just really good songs.
Yeah, Kendrick and Cole both fit that.
Definitely. Before we went on to the J. Cole thing, and we we're talking about that whole rat race thing, and I was going to say a lot of people need and appreciate the structure and routine. I think, like, even for me, if I didn't need to work, I think I'm one of those people that would keep something on the side to keep myself busy because I value routine.
100%.
I was going to say, are you guys the same?
For sure.
Because that led me to, I saw on Twitter, people are talking about, obviously, like, in-season tournament, everyone wins 500 grand on the roster when your team wins. If you guys won, like, a boatload of money, like, not a specific number, just stuff like life-changing money, how much would you change your current lifestyle? Like, would you keep, say, your job now to keep yourself entertained, but change the things outside of it?
100%. I love my job.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, I wake up every morning and it's like, apart from maybe a very long week, I'm like, oh, I gotta go to work. I enjoy going to work. So my job wouldn't change. I think more for me, I would feel a greater sense of freedom to invest and set up the future that I want, so I don't have to be in my job for as long as I may have to before.
Yep.
But yeah.
What about you, Josh?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Like, just again something to fall back on. Don't want to get too comfortable at this age. So,
Would you keep your job?
oh, like same premise. I wouldn't quit it right away. Like I would want to
Yeah.
work. Like,
Yeah,
I wouldn't be able to just do nothing. I can't stand being bored and
For sure.
not having anything to do. So I would need to work in some capacity for sure.
I think I would do the same. Like Brandon said, obviously the financial part of it with the investments. I would travel a lot. I'd see the
Yeah.
whole world, bro.
That's
I'm going to America. I'm doing
For
all
sure.
of Asia. I'm doing Europe the right way. I'm doing Africa. I'm not home for 5 years, bro. If I win some life changing money.
What is life changing money? Because 500 grand is not life changing money.
No, not in this economy. I mean, I don't know the specific number of it. Like I'm talking about like something where you can do anything with nothing holding you back. So obviously, I guess that changes depending on what you want. Like obviously, if I want to see every country and be there for some amount of time, I need some crazy money. That's never happening. But yeah, like travel's the big thing for me. Just see places I've never seen. I feel like you learn so much as well. I feel like you'd come back a different person.
It's crazy that $500,000 is not life changing money, and when you think the fact you can't even buy a house with it debt free.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, but what are you getting?
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's pretty crazy, hey. Just looking at like the value of all that stuff during like across generations. Even like saw people talking about the value of degrees. Like I saw someone say like 2 degrees now is like our parents having 1 degree.
Yes, yeah, you say that often.
I've heard a lot of people say that, and it's kind of true because like back then a degree guaranteed you a good job. And think about how many people get one and don't use it now. And it's not their fault. It's just like a lot of industries are really hard to crack into.
Yeah. Well, look, we're going to take a little bit of a break. Actually, we're going to do a 2-hour episode today. So we're going to go freshen up. Take this time to pause whatever you're doing, whether you're in your car, freshen up, make sure you're still awake while you're driving. If you're eating, put your plate in the sink, clean up the table, take a break. And
you've got a week if you're listening. So
Yeah,
you've got
yeah.
some time.
come back and come back to it when you can, but we'll be back very
Make sure you
shortly.
go to the bathroom.